I'm so glad that I learned the difference before I became a dentist. I'm going to share the secret that I learned, the paradigm shift that it caused, and how this really changed my life forever. The reason that I'm sharing this with you is I would never want my life to go back. My hope is that this video can cause the same paradigm shift for you as it did for me. So first I'm going to dive into my story and how I learned this secret. And then I'm going to share the secret at a few different levels so you can see it with the clarity that I do today. Growing up, everyone in my neighborhood was an employee. I didn't know any different until Rob Thorpe moved into the neighborhood. He was my scout leader and my young men's advisor. He was a dentist and he really contributed a lot to us young men. I noticed some things that were different. Where everyone else had their regular jobs, he was the boss. He had control. I could tell that he made more money. I also saw his leadership abilities come through. And there's just a lot of things that I admired about him. I mean, he's the reason why I got my Eagle Scout at the age of 13. So I decided that's what I want. I want to be a dentist when I grow up. So I pursued that. I got good grades through high school. And when I went to college, I got a degree in human biology. But then I learned something that really changed everything. And that's what I'm going to share with you now. Okay, if you've seen this before, you recognize this from Robert Kiyosaki. This is the Cashflow Quadrant. A friend of mine let me borrow a book on CD. It was Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the Cashflow Quadrant combined. And I learned these principles for the first time. I learned that there was a difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. I had already known that I didn't want to be an employee. I didn't want to have to work for somebody else or do what I was told. I didn't want to have to work my way up the corporate ladder and have somebody else tell me what I was worth or what I should be paid. Some other things that this audiobook helped me put into words is that there is this thing called a glass ceiling. When you're an employee, you're trading time for money. There's only so much time that you can trade. Now, if we compare an employee to being self-employed, now you're the boss. You call the shots, you get to build what you want to, kind of. I started to learn that there are two types of businessmen. I mean, prior to this, I thought a businessman was somebody who carried a briefcase around. I didn't know what they did. But I learned the difference between self-employed and a business owner, and that self-employed had some disadvantages that I didn't want. The first one is that you wear all the hats. You're the chef, you're the waiter, you're the hostess, you clean the tables when they're done, you're the bookkeeper, you got to clean the restrooms, you're on call 24/7. When someone is sick, you've got to fill in. You're the one that's responsible for everything. Now, even some of the highest paid professions are self-employed. I mean, think about my goal of becoming a dentist. A dentist definitely trades his time for money. What happens if a dentist goes on vacation? Yeah, his dental practice basically is shut down while he's gone. Now, what if I wanted to make more money? There's kind of a glass ceiling on that as well. There's only so many teeth I can drill. If I want to make more money, I've either got to drill more teeth or I've got to charge higher prices for my services. So I might as well use this diagram that I drew. This stands for employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. Okay, so the difference between self-employed and a business owner creates systems and hires other people to run the business, whereas self-employed, you are the employee. You are the one running the business. So as an employee, you have a job. As a self-employed person, you create your own job, but you still have that job. And as a business owner, you own an asset and you provide other people jobs. The biggest problem with being self-employed is that you're still trading time for money. I mean, maybe you're making more income, but you have more responsibility, and that adds way more stress. Self-employed people are very familiar with working 60 hours per week. So I've had my company for 11 years, and the challenge for me has been, how do I transition from self-employed to a business owner? I mean, one example that I can remember, I just had this vision. I really knew what I was building and creating, and I had this passion for everything, and I had this wisdom. I felt like I had learned so much, and yet I was in the Walmart parking lot trying to figure out how I was going to afford to buy diapers for my daughter. Our account was in the negative. Or another example, it really wasn't that long ago when I went to my mom to borrow some money. And my mom said, "Nate, why don't you just get a job?" And it hurts so much because I feel so purpose-driven behind what I do. And I feel like I've learned so much. and I can't go back. This was the burden of being self-employed. I had to work more and more and more to try and make ends meet. Now, there is a shortcut to being a business owner where you don't have to trade your time for money, so you don't make that transition from self-employed to business owner like I'm currently going through. But it's actually in a different quadrant. It's as an investor. So think about McDonald's. If I were to invest in a McDonald's franchise, I wouldn't be expected to go there and flip burgers, or to cook the fries, or to work the register, or to wipe the tables. When you're self-employed, that's when you're trading your time for money. And as you transition to being a business owner, that's where you're trading your ideas for money. And as an investor, you're using your money to work for you. And that doesn't take any of your time. Now let's go into more detail of the difference between working in your business and working on your business. If you're to list out all the tasks that you do in a day, which of those tasks are essentials that you do them? No one else could do them. I bet you'll be surprised. You're probably thinking a lot of them are going to be that way, but if you really go through this exercise and list out every little thing that you do and think, would it be possible at all for somebody else to do that task, you'll probably find that 80 to 90% of your tasks could be done by somebody else. So if you're self-employed and you do this list, and you think, oh, there's several people that I can hire to do these things, what you tend to do as a self-employed person is you'll just put on other hats to fill it in. But as a business owner, you'll take off some of those hats, give them to other people, and you'll start immediately working on systems. When you're self-employed, your time keeps the business running. But when you're a business owner, your time makes the business more valuable. Man, that should go out of kind of quote or something. When you're self-employed, your time keeps the business running. But when you're a business owner, your time makes the business more valuable. When you're self-employed, you are taking care of the customer. When you're a business owner, you're creating systems and hiring employees to take better care of the customer. When you're in one position or you're wearing a specific hat, perfect it, write it all down so you can systematize it, and then hire somebody else to follow those same exact steps. That's what we mean when we say working on your business instead of working in it. So where am I today? I started my company 11 years ago, and admittedly the first 8.5 years were that big financial roller coaster. I was really struggling to get out of self-employed and transition into a business owner. Today, I'm still a mixture of both. I still carry a heavy burden of responsibility, and some days I do put in 12 or 16 hours, but I'm making progress. For example, I'm taking a 2-week vacation and my business is still running. A lot of what keeps me stuck as self-employed is when I have a new idea, I implement it myself. Instead of just hiring people right away to run it for me, I love my ideas and I get excited about it, but then I get into the overwhelm and I end up still working long hours. The question that paints the clearest picture is what would happen to my business if I died? The reality is the business would really struggle. I don't think it would make it. And so I'm not really a business owner yet. I'm still self-employed in my own business. In order to truly be a business owner, I need to be replaceable. Now, I've learned a lot over these 11 years, and I filmed another episode sharing the 5 habits that kept me poor because I am a 7-figure earner now. I invite you to go watch that video now, and hopefully you can take a shortcut in learning those lessons.